Good. Good to see you. We talked to you
Yeah,
before. Yeah.
yeah, both years.
You were also in a room that had lights and was like, yeah, right?
I was always in, so I'm a senior now. I was a freshman when we started chatting about this. So
Wow.
I was in every year I was in a different dorm room and now I'm in whatever this is.
So wild. Congrats on senior year. That's so
Thank
exciting.
you so much. I feel like I've grown up with you guys, which is fun. Crazy that you guys are still in sophomore year though.
I know we're moving slow.
It's okay.
You go ahead. We'll catch up.
Okay, cool. I'll be waiting. You guys are savoring it. I wish I
Yeah.
could. Well, at her conference this year, you were talking a bit about imposter syndrome, which is something that we've kind of seen a little bit with Whitney this season. And you always describe Whitney kind of as like well, you have described Whitney as sort of like the voice of reason in all of this chaos at times. I think it was really, really awesome to see her go through something that is just so wildly relatable in college. The show is just so good with its relatability. I would love to hear a little bit more about your journey with that and how you overcome it and just what you do to get that out of your head.
Yeah. I mean, it's so great. The luxury of like being someone who's not in college, playing someone who's in college is that like you have grace and patience for their experience. And I'm like, oh, Whitney's struggling, but she's gonna learn, And I feel very lucky that I, in some ways, have, and in other ways, of course, haven't. But yeah, that those things that she's experiencing, I have so much love and care for, and I'm so proud of her that she's getting to struggle and that she's getting to find it in real time. And I'm also grateful that that is not where I'm at in life. Like there's some separation, which is very nice. But yeah, for me, I mean, like it kind of never goes away and is ever present. But in different as you grow and change and enter different environments, it's always going to show up that feeling of like, am I worthy of being here? Am I good enough to be here? But I think I like to put it out of my head and just say, let the work speak for itself. And the people that see you and respect you are going to see you and respect you regardless of what you tell yourself about yourself. So try to like quiet that voice and just let the people who care for you come to you and find your like community and find the people that see you. And I find that like I've been loved by people that help me love myself better, and like the way that people see me. And like at her campus we talked about, I think it was like Renee's videos, and that was the conversation about imposter syndrome. And it was like having someone believe in me in that way and having someone like hand me that with that level of trust. I was like, oh wait, well, she's not crazy, so I must be, I like respect her opinion. I think she's smart, even though I don't think I, am worthy. But if she sees it, then there must be something there. So trying to like hold on to that, and I don't know.
I love it. That is so incredibly beautiful. It's a gorgeous answer. Speaking of Renee, one of my favorite moments in the season was you guys, that little goodbye that you guys had with her. And it was this emotional. And I was looking at your face the whole time because I really, really knew that that was definitely a
Yeah.
little personal for you guys, that you are best
Yeah.
friends. That was definitely a little bit personal. What was that moment like?
I mean, it was emotional. It was cool that we got to do it in real time. I think, like, weirdly enough, it meant more to Whitney than it did to me, because it was like it really felt like she was saying goodbye to a friend, and realizing that this space and this time that they have together isn't forever, and that it at some point is going to have to end, and we need to appreciate it while we have it. Um, and so the tears were real, yes, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like she's still here for me. So it's not like it was this big goodbye and it's like, oh, life's over and it's done. It's like, okay, let's go to lunch. And I don't know, it was goodbye in ways, yeah, but in other ways it was very much just like another scene we had to film.
Love it. It was so sweet. If you
Yeah.
could give any word of advice to your college age self, I can't believe I've never asked you this before, but I'm very curious. What would it be?
Oh, wow. I mean, this is the opposite of what Whitney's doing, and so maybe it's not good advice, but I would have gone outside of my comfort zone more and tried more things. I think I had interests and desires to do things, but just didn't chase them for I don't know what reason. And I forget that I'll never get that time back. And that's the space to try things and to fail at them without the stakes of the world and your career and everything being on your shoulders. It's like you have this bubble of time where you can try basically anything and do whatever you want and be whoever you want, and like really explore all of those interests and really pursue what you want to find out what's right for you in that space that you have that's so safe, um before you into the world. Not that you can't do that in the world. I think it just becomes a little bit harder, and for me that's definitely been the case where I'm like, I knew I wanted to do this in college, why didn't I do it then? You can always do it, but take advantage of that environment while you have it. And go to the library. I don't know, man. I like miss I go to libraries now, public libraries to do work. And I'm like, that's so crazy that I just had that 2 minutes from my house in college and I never went.
Didn't go over.
Um, I love a library. Anyway.
Go to mine now. You can't tell me
Wow.
there's not the scene where she was like swallowing espresso beans was hilarious. I was like, yeah, I've been there.
I know she got to be a little kookier this season, which is great because she's usually having to be a little bit more of the like, you guys are so crazy. I've got it all together, but this season she really doesn't have it together, which is fun.
Was that fun for you?
So fun. And it's cool because Gracie and Mia, who are Casey and Taylor on the show, we like met this year because of the show. And they said something to me the other day. They were like, it's so wild meeting you because you're so much more playful than I think I thought you were because of your character. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. But she is kind of serious at times. And I think I'm not that serious. I can be, but I like to be a little bit more playful. So I'm glad that she got to do that more this season.
I love it. It was so much fun. Alyah, you are amazing. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you
You
so much.
too. When do you graduate?
May, so I'm almost there. The next time I see you,
Congrats.
I'll be in college. I'm sad.
Definitely. I know. Wild. Well,
Don't
congrats
lose
and
all
good
my
luck.
credibility. Thank
Oh,
you. Hey, Justin, how are you?
Hello, Sydney. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I'm so excited to talk to you. First of all, amazing season. It was so much fun. I was talking to Pauline, the one-liners in this season were so good. Like it was, you guys just had some amazing writing and it absolutely killed. Some a big praise that your show has had throughout the entire time it's been on is just this relatability that it has. And I feel like it was extra prevalent in this season. You have like these digital elements that really show like how much TikTok has become a part of like our day-to-day lives. There's so many things that were just really with it. And I'm really curious about just yours and Mindy's writing process. What is it like? How are you gathering these things that are so relatable? Like how are you fostering this relatability in these situations?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I am a 40-year-old gay man. So, like, I am not one of the main characters of this show. I am like the off-screen character 20 years ago who was like at the lunch table with them, listening to all their crazy stories and loving it. That's where I fit into the narrative. My favorite thing to do is to like, I actually go to a bunch of college campuses and talk to current college students. That's my form of research on it. I just did a trip like 3 weeks ago and talked to kids at my alma mater. And it's so helpful because I have to keep myself in check and know what's going on. And without fail, they tell me the craziest shit that I'm like, how is this happening in your school? And that inspires stories for us. The other aspect of it is that Mindy and I both like, we really try to staff the show with all these incredibly talented and funny young women. So we have this room of people of all different ages, but some of them are very young and they keep us in check. You know what I mean? I'll pitch something and they'll be like, well, actually, they wouldn't do that. You know, they would do this. And I'm like, all right, great. Thank you. Let's keep it going. Yeah, the stories can come from anywhere. A lot of them come from the personal lives of the writers in the room who are like, oh my God, I just remembered the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. And I have to be like, amazing. Would you be willing to put that on television? But it's a really good time coming up with stories for these characters because they feel so relatable and fun.
I love it. They are so relatable and it really makes you can probably tell by my room I am in college. So you really you really
I
these
love it.
are. I was saying before to Gracie that her character, I have met like five people like that. And you would think that these archetypes are exaggerated, but they really aren't. Like this is like very normalized tropes around here, which is crazy.
Absolutely. Like as soon as we knew that we were writing 2 episodes with Leighton and then sending off that character, so we were like so excited to like send off Leighton with a big win because this is Leighton Murray. The only thing she does is win. There was only one way she was going to live, and it was with like something that was best for her future. But as we started talking about new characters, the writers just had a million ideas of new characters of who they could be. And I think Casey's character started with a card that said girly girl. And then we were talking about how there hadn't been like a girly girl on the show. And then someone was like, I don't know that Kimberly would get along with a girly girl. And I was like, well, that's interesting because there's not anything wrong with being a girly girl. So why would Kimberly have that reaction? And then we started talking about her backstory and she just became this like very fully formed character that all of us felt like we knew as a person based off other people in our lives, but fit really seamlessly into the demo of the show. And we think she adds a lot of fun dynamics opposite the other girls who were coming back.
I love it. It really was so fun. Another hysterical thing was like the sorority house. My school doesn't have sororities, but I've like that is basically what it sounds like when every single person who's in one tells me about what's going on there. I'm like, that sounds like a cult. Like they're Venmo
Yeah,
requesting you for your things. Like, is that allowed? I was like, I
that
know
was very
there's someone
funny.
on that team who was in a sorority recently.
Oh my God, I believe it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we really do research like what actually is happening to them, and some of those things end up making it in TV. We desperately want it to be relatable to the core demo of like current college girls who are watching the show. But at the same time, I cannot tell you how many people come up to me and are like, "My mom is a huge fan of your show," and like they're talking about some woman in her 60s who just is like reliving that experience of this time when it was just like fun and flirty and a good time as opposed to like worrying about all the stresses that life has. And so I love that our show can fulfill that need for people. Yeah.
It's so timeless. And I feel like especially now the world is not in the greatest place. So it's nice to have something like this where it's like we can tune in and just like everyone in some way can relate to something that's going on because there's so many personalities on screen. There's so many things constantly happening, and that is college.
Absolutely. Also, like, let's in 2024, 2025, let's let comedies have comedy in them. Let's let them have
Yes.
jokes again. Like, we need that.
It's so funny. Now you guys had a little bit of time off and then everybody really seemed to just get back in so seamlessly. What is it like to revisit a project after a pretty standard amount of time?
Yeah, it was surprising that it went on for as long as it did, of course. But it was just, it's fun to come back here. Like it's as soon as the sets are being put up and we're talking about things, it really didn't feel very long on our end. I mean, it does because like I can remember how long ago it was that we like did season two. But we just dove back in excited to keep telling the stories of them. I think it also helps that like we had ended season two with so many throws forward. Kimberly and Whitney obviously had like we chose a little chaos. They had a little bit of an issue going forward. We knew we had to make good on that. Bella's like talking about transferring because she's like painted herself into a corner with all these losses. So I think when you have those things, you're excited to just get back in and tell the natural next chapter for them.
You talked about just the whole like we knew she had to have a big win, and then there was that beautiful scene with all of the girls saying goodbye to her. What was the inspiration behind that? How did you guys land on MIT and this direction for her? What was it like to
Well,
develop?
I mean, there's when Mindy and I started talking about it, we talked about how like, the only reason that Leighton would leave the school is if it was for a win that was for best for her. And Leighton's character, more than any of the others, came to college kind of not knowing exactly who she was. Like she was quite literally pretending to be a different person than she was. And so it only felt fitting that she was the person who figured it out before everyone else and made a choice that was for herself and for her best future. It also, to me, struck a chord personally because I was like, one of my best friends after my first year in college transferred. And I remember getting the phone call between first year and sophomore year where I was like, you're not coming back? Like, you're like one third of my social scene. What do you mean you're not coming back? And I think it's just like a realism of college. Like it's like we're with these people for this very short period of time and we overlap in this one place and that there's something beautiful about that. But sometimes we don't even get the 4 years that we thought we would have. So it just felt creatively right to do it that way. And then much like college, as soon as one door closes, two more doors open and all of a sudden you're meeting tons of new people.
Absolutely. You guys do such a brilliant job of combining this. You were just saying, like, let comedies have comedy. You guys have such a great balance with taking the comedy and having it be present, but also like having these storylines that are raw and emotional and beautiful, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like it just really feels like a natural passing by. Like when Leighton was crying and she was like, I wouldn't have been any of this without you guys. It's like, oh my gosh. It was just a
Yeah.
beautiful departure for her.
I mean, that was just an emotional waterfall, that scene, because it was real for the performers too. I mean the way all of the performances in that scene are incredible. Like I'm so proud of the way it turned out. Like it was one of those scenes where it was hard to tell the line between the performer and the character. But I think it served it well.
Absolutely. And everyone seems to just have this amazing relationship on set, which is so beautiful to see. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, real quick, do you have any advice for your college self? Like if you could go back and give any?
Oh my gosh. What would I do? I would tell my college self to like worry less. And I
Exactly
mean,
what Colleen
here's
said.
the reality. I'm sure she would. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot in common in that area. But like I was a bit of a Bella, I'm ashamed to say. I was one of those people who was like I'm going to go join a comedy group. And then I joined like four and I never went to class. And called my parents and was like, I think I might not major in anything. I don't know.
Nothing at
Um,
all.
but I don't necessarily regret it. I actually think that that's the example of something I would want to do more, which is just like follow my like internal lead, my conscience, and like do what feels best in the moment, as opposed to like road mapping everything that I think is ahead of me. I think a lot of kids at schools, especially schools like Essex, they want to know what's next. They're aspirational. They want to go after that goal. And at times that comes at the expense of living in the moment. And college is such a beautiful, fun time. I would have lived in the moment more, would have taken more pictures. I would have, you know, done more.
I love it. Justin, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sydney. Have a great rest of your day. And I do love your room.
Thank you so much. If you ever
Very
need an
much.
extra place to film, you guys can come over.
It literally looks like a room that our set deck team would put together. It's impeccable.
So thank you so much. Congrats on another amazing season.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Hi, Mia. How are you?
Hi, Sydney. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So nice to talk to you. Now I feel like
Too.
I had like whiplash, like I had like the quickest turnaround ever with your character of like, okay, like I don't know if I like her, and then immediately I was like, okay, I love her. Which
Oh,
was really, really cool
good.
to have such a charm with this character where it's like you definitely have one of the more heavier storylines, but you also have some amazing comedic moments. What was it like to kind of get into character and to step into the storyline?
For sure. She I definitely had some whiplash playing her. I think with Taylor, I think the biggest takeaway from her is that I want people to understand is, she isn't all that meets the eye, this kind of harsh exterior. There's reason behind it, and you learn that throughout the series, I think, as she opens up and explores her own vulnerabilities. Um, and yeah, it's that classic case of the onion that you need to peel. But I think that's incredibly relatable. There's so many people in this world that don't offer up everything about themselves initially all the time. And that's definitely something that me as a person has had to learn, and I weirdly kind of have through Taylor. And so in a weird way, I hope that people can relate to so many different elements about her, whether that be her personality or her sexuality or her own experience, and they kind of see themselves through a similar lens. It's great to have role models and figures in media and film and stuff that people feel that they can see themselves in.
I loved like how unapologetic she was about her sexuality, even though she had that harsh exterior. She always very much was like, "This is what I have going on, and this is who I am." And I think that that is something that people are really going to find some beautiful relatability in, especially like in a college dynamic. So I thought that was beautiful, and the way you went about that was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad that that was felt. I think with Taylor, my intention with playing her was always to, and you get that anyway. She's very much herself, and I think with her sexuality, that is unwavering. That's kind of the one part of her that she is most comfortable with and knows is like the back of her hand. It's her truest form of self. I think with her sexuality, it's so nice to have it kind of not be like a coming out story. This, she's already there, she's waving the flag, this is who she is. And whilst it's amazing to have those figures and those stories that are like, this is me coming out, this is my journey, this is me being honest, it's great to also have something that you can relate to that's like, no, I'm already there, I haven't even given this a second thought, like this is me. And I think that's just so great to also have that as well.
Absolutely. We need more stories like that. I feel like a lot of people
For
do
sure.
figure it out a bit younger, and then you get to a point like college and you're like, oh wow, okay, we're here, which I
Yeah,
love.
100%. It was so fun. I loved it. It was so great.
So fun. And you guys seem like you have such an awesome dynamic. Like it looks like you guys are always having fun. What was it like to step into this world and like with you have an amazing cast? Like what was that dynamic like?
Yeah, oh my God. No, fun is like the perfect word for it. Everything was great. It was the most positive start I could have ever asked for. Coming into this world, it's daunting. This is a family. This is a story with legs, with a very amazing reputation, and rightfully so. But that, as an actor, especially someone that's starting out in this industry and this being their first job and their first main character, that's scary. But what was so brilliant was the show allows, it's such a safe space. Um, it allows for you to just instantly be like, no, you are worthy to be here, and we're excited about that, and we're here for you, and this is an open dialogue. Whatever you need, what can we learn from you, what can you learn from us, like how can I help you, this is what to expect, blah blah blah. Like the girls were just unbelievable and just like took me under their wing straight away, and I genuinely, it's like it's so great to actually love the people that you work with and be friends with them. And then with Mindy and Justin, they've created this world that's so fun and beautiful and obviously hilarious, and it's a comedy, but it's also a space where it allows for those vulnerabilities and to explore other sides to life, but still through kind of a lighter lens. It's great.
You deserve that warm welcome. You seem like a very easy person to get along with, so I could totally see how that would play itself out. You talked about how you learned certain things from Taylor. I would love to know like some of the things that playing this character has taught you and just like that you've learned about yourself throughout the process.
Yeah, for sure. I think Taylor um moves through life, especially initially, when she first meets people, with a bit more defense. She's got a chip on her shoulder, she's kind of untrusting, and I very much am different to that. I move with like, I think everyone's in love with each other, and I'm like, we're best friends. What do you mean you don't want to like hold hands and skip into the sunset? Like, it's and playing a character that's so different to that, it's opened my eyes to the idea, like, okay, you actually don't need to appease everybody. You don't need to give all your energy to somebody that you don't know just yet, or maybe might be undeserving of it, or maybe might not meet that as well. And so that was a harsh conversation I had to have with myself, but it was one that was really valuable, and I think really made me just like mature and grow throughout this experience. And I think that definitely kind of weirdly emulates Taylor in a way, because that's exactly what she does. She's growing and opening up, and so we're kind of doing the adverse, but both in a really positive way.
Give any advice to yourself around that age? I know you're not super far out of that age, but late teenager, like early college vibe. What would it be if you could give any advice to yourself in that age?
Oh God, I think me at that age, I was such a different person to how I am now. And it's so funny. I think when you're 18, you think you know everything. And there's a beautiful naivety to that, but there's also just complete delusion that you're just like, babes, you've got so much more to learn and grow. And I think letting myself relax into who I am more, and not feeling like I have to know everything, or I have to have all the right answers, or I have to be kind of this somebody for somebody else, and just going about what makes me happy, and having those boundaries within myself, I think has been something that I've grown massively throughout the years. And so I kind of think I wish I could look at my character, at myself at 18, and just be like, just breathe. You're going to be okay. Like, life isn't going to slap you in the face every single day like you think it might. Like, it's actually okay. So yeah, probably something like that.
I need that advice. I've been like bottling everyone's advice today. I'm like, okay, write that down. I'll
Oh my
be
God.
the whole like
Send me the notes. I'd
I
love
will.
to.
I'll give you a notebook at the end. I love it. Now the world is going to meet Taylor in next week, which is very, very exciting. You have so many like really good like one-liners, funny moments. Are there any particular scenes or moments that you were just so excited for people to see with this character?
Oh my God, there's so many. I think, well, in terms of like one-liners, there was a scene with Bella and Ardvind where I was coming out of having a meeting with a guidance counselor, and Bella was waiting for me, and Bella and Arvind had an interaction kind of over me, and I was just like literally giving like tidbits of like, oh, what the hell, really? Oh my God. It's like a back and forth like tennis match, but it was so fun because I just was having so much fun with it. And I love Bella, and I love Amrit who plays her, and Nabil who plays Arvind is like just the most incredible guy ever. He's such a talented actor, but also a great person. And so us three all together, always, it would have so much fun. And so that day it was boiling hot and I was in a leather jacket. It was actually diabolical. But just having that playfulness was so great. I loved it. And it was like, I think one of my first scenes as well. So it was great that I was able to connect with both of them like so early on,
My favorite was when, like a little after that scene, it was like, oh yeah, he has a girlfriend, and you were like, oh, that's surprising. Your delivery on that was so good. Had me laughing.
Oh my God, that was my first scene
Oh
I
my
did
God. You killed
throughout. Oh my, thanks. That was the one that I was most nervous about. So it makes me feel so good because it was my first day. So I was like,
it. I can't even imagine.
I can't, like, is this going well? I had no sense of reality with it. So that makes me really happy that it
My
comes across
first day
well.
doing this stuff, I was like, oh, I don't think I can, I don't think I know how to speak.
Yeah.
Crazy. So he's that first like moment, but your deadpan is so good. Just like the way that you like were delivering these lines, it had me crying. Mia, you were such a pleasure. It's so nice talking to you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
It was so gorgeous to meet you. Thank you so much, Sydney. I hope you have a great day.
You too. Congratulations on everything. I'm so excited for the world to see Taylor and you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. That makes me so happy.